Hi, happy Monday. It's been a really great day. I did some resting. The kids played outside today. It was really great. And I just wanted to pop in real quick and share a couple of things with you. I saw some moms back in the island asking a question about how do you balance it all when you have a small kid in house and you're trying to get your business entrepreneur thing going on. And I have to say that over the years, because it's been 10 years, it's wow. When I think about it, it's going to be 11. Before I became a mom, I already worked from home because I telecommuted. I used to work with consultants. I started working there when I was 19, and I did everything I did it from home. And I would just show up for big meetings, and sometimes they would invite me to presentations, but I was really a telecommuter. I was on my computer, and I was going to college, and I was 19. So I've always worked from home. So actually, if it was from 19, then I've been doing this for 16 years. And one of the things that I learned was to stick to same hour every day that you work. That's one huge thing, because then you really mentally set the time aside and you don't procrastinate. Another thing that's really important is to break down what you need to do in a to-do list. One of the management consultants I worked with at the time, she taught me a method with a holding pen, and it was very helpful because I was able to break down my tasks by priority. So you prioritize them first at the beginning of the week. You know what you really need to get done, like Monday and not Wednesday. Not get around to it and go like, shit, I missed my deadline, or, now I have to rush, because rushing is one of the biggest drains. Procrastination is a huge drain. It is, because when you procrastinate, you actually build up a lot of anxiety. So that would be number 2. Number 1, set hours that you actually always work the same time every day. Mine have consistently been at night, and I still always work a lot at night. And that has just been how I roll. I am a night owl, and it took years of training to actually start sleeping earlier. So, I do sleep early now, and I do rest on weekends, but I still always make a decision. I'm flexible. I still remain flexible, because with kids, you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. So if right now my kid took a nap and my other kids decided to go and read some books, I asked them to go read some comic books or whatever, they are going to free me out for an hour. And then I use that time as best as I can. What I do, because my work involves technology, I do web development and graphic design and customer service, and I have a lot of technology things that maybe most people don't have the skill set or the time to learn, but they need it to be done for their online website, their online business. So I'm kind of like a person that keeps doing things at the same consistent pace. I like things to be structured. And I love technology, and I find my way real fast, and I figure out tools and problems and stuff. I like to troubleshoot. So that's the kind of work I do mostly, aside from writing and occasional writing projects. But one of the things that I found out early on when I became a mom was that I really needed to be consistent with allowing my kids to know when it was okay to come to mommy and when not. And that might sound really hard, but moms that work outside of home have that. They leave in their car, they go to the office, and their kid can't just call them, can't just show up. So it's not any different. And it's important to have that boundary. I used to be available 24/7 for my children when they were very small because they needed it. But as they grew, they were able to be independent, and I taught them to be independent. So for example, one of my kids wakes up at 5:30 every day, all of his life. It's always been like that. That means that by rule, I should be awake at 5:30. But if I worked till 12 or 2, which happened a lot in the past, I can't wake up at 5:30. That is not happening. Plus, I often have another smaller baby that needs me. I need at least 4 hours of sleep. That's me. I need 4 hours of sleep, period. Minimum. 6 is better, but 4 is my minimum, my bare minimum. So I would not be available at 5:30. So I made arrangements with my son, and I arranged his room in a very specific way so that he knew if he woke up at that hour, before he was potty trained, he would be like, he would see me at a certain hour, and then we take care of all the different morning routine things, and then we get dressed, and then we do stuff. So it was like, if he woke up at 5:30, the agreement that we made, and I made him, I'm very strict with those kind of things. We made agreements. We need to follow them. I always remind him, you made an agreement with me. You promised you would do it. So you're doing it, right? Okay. So if he woke up at 5:30, he needed to stay in his bedroom. He could play with his toys quietly. He could read books, play with books, color, everything. I set up the room in a way that there were no hazards, nothing that I would worry. If your kid's bedroom is set up in a way that you worry that they'll get hurt, change it. You can't have a room like that. You cannot have a space where your children sleep where there's dangers. This is important because you think you always have to be hovering over your kids. You're not helicopter mom. That is one of the most unhealthiest way to parent, is to be helicopter, because your children do not become independent people. So the best thing you can do is set up a room. You've got Montessori style, got all different styles, but just set up your children's bedroom, not with decorative items and lamps and all kinds of things stacked and stuff, and closets that are not hinged properly. Make sure that you are confident that your kid can sleep in there, can wake up suddenly, play in a room, and not get hurt. This is very important, because that will free you up in the morning. Because the morning time for most people is a time when you start up. That's when you're most productive. That's when you're freshest. And after you're done with whatever you do early in the morning, the CEOs I've spoken to from a couple companies in Aruba, I used to be assistant to the board of one of the associations, not going to mention which one. And one of the CEOs of a company, a big, large company in Aruba, him and his wife, I asked them both, because they're both CEOs, how do you start your day? And they said, we wake up early, and between the time that we leave our home, that we wake up and leave our home to work, we work. That's the time where we get the most important things done for the day. And I've seen this in books as well. I think it was Tony Robbins that said that too. He gets his really ice cold shower at 4 a.m, and then he pops in, does some work, does his most creative work in the morning, his best ideas, he dumps them, and he keeps going. Then he starts his day. And then between 8 and 10, those are good times to do social activities and, breakfast and so on and so on. So if your kid is small, they're not going to school yet. They're not leaving the house. They're not going to daycare, which I never used daycare. And I have 4 of them. The best time to have like dinner and, breakfast and getting ready for the day is around 7 or 8. So that gives you 3 hours if you're going to wake up at 4, or 2 hours if you're going to wake up at 5. It's up to you to choose when you're going to wake up. So that's would be number 2. It's a combination. It's 3 and 4. 3 would be, make sure that you make agreements with your children, and make sure that the space where they're in, that they're going to stay for an hour or 2 where you're still home, but you are occupied, is safe, that you're confident that they're going to be fine. And then you start your day with your family a little bit later. This was a tip I learned from a CEO and his wife, and she's a CEO of a bank on Aruba. And I asked her, how did you get to this place? You have 2, 3 kids. And she told me, because I asked her at an event in Aruba once, a conference, some women's conference, I don't even remember which one. And she said, well, part of my success is I wake up at 4 a.m, 4:30. I get to the most important, most pertinent things and my most creative work. And then I do my day. So when she's done with that, 7, she starts heading out. She has early morning meetings. She drops her kids off at school. I don't do my kids' breakfast anymore. I don't prepare them for school. They do that themselves because I trained them. When they got older and they started going to school, then that time frame there, the time bracket, I don't wake up super early because I stay up late. But that time that I wasn't awake yet, that time was for them to independently do things that is for their own self-care. So my oldest son, when he started complaining that you're not awake yet and blah, 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 and I want to go to school, I was like, hey, that bread that you need to take to school, that's the bag that you need to prepare, you need to do it. And I showed him for a couple of weeks, and after that, that's your responsibility. Is your lunch in your bag? Is your lunch in your sister's bag? Is your little brother, did you show him how? And one thing, as a parent, you need to enlist your children to be part of your business and show them how they can help to be part of your business. My kids know they're in my boardroom. I ask them, and I don't choose a lot of projects lately because I made an agreement with them, but I involve them so they know that what they're doing helps me get things done. So 3 o'clock, after I pick them up from school, after lunch, we can do fun things. We did a lot of fun things. And then when it's time for me to work, I had my office was adjacent to the playroom. At a certain point, my office and the playroom where they could sit, because they were old enough to not jump on me and try to get on my lap, because now they were doing their own things and they had their own interests. But then my office and their workroom was the same room. And I would set up activities, 45 minutes. They have to do them independently. Well, I do what I need to do independently. So I've involved my kids a lot, and they've been in a lot of my videos. They're in a lot of my pictures, and they're involved in my business in that sense. They know my mommy's working. Get help is very important. That will be tip number 6. You need to learn that you don't have to do everything. Your best top skill, the thing that you do best, that is your most top producing skill, that should be your focus. Everything else, uitbesteden, like they say in Dutch, outsource it. It could be cooking, it could be cleaning, it could be picking up the kids from school, it could be daycare, nannying, it could be all those different things. But right now, let's look at this realistically. It could be tasks that you need to do every day. Like if you're getting emails and you always have to answer the same question, guess what? That's a customer service rep job, because you can set up a list in a Word document and just put the questions you normally get and your standard answers, and you could write them down, and you could create a process, and you can hire somebody who doesn't have your skill set but can copy, paste, and reply. And those 2 hours that you spend answering emails, they spend them, and they cost less. The person costs less, and those 2 hours you're freed up for something else that you could be doing either for your business or for your family. Number 7 is meal planning and freezer meals. That's the combination. You cannot meal plan, which is make a menu, purchase the ingredients, and then have them in your fridge, because then you have to prepare a meal every day. That doesn't work. That takes a lot of time. I used to spend hours in the kitchen. Right now, I didn't have a freezer in our new house yet. So guess what? I spend an hour and a half cooking. De facto, I just do. I do have help. My kids are older, they cook. But before, it would be just like every day, literally cooking on the spot. You spend time thinking about what you want to eat, realizing you don't have all the ingredients. debating whether you should maybe just buy takeout, and you waste time. That's time, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, energy you don't have to spend if you did meal planning and freezer meals once a week. Once a week. I had a friend, there was this friend working in the medical field, and she worked shifts, all kinds of shifts, and she had 3 kids, and her husband worked shifts, and well, things were really crazy. And what did she start doing? She made her meals once every week. She made for 2 weeks, which is a lot, but she has one free day every so many days, like whole free day, so 2 days in a row. So she would, like, after her weekend, she would like really and she'd have meals in her freezer, and in the morning before she leaves to work, she takes it out, puts it in a slow cooker with a timer on, and that thing runs when it's time. It keeps the food warm, and when they got home, warm meal ready for eating. No one was there cooking. Okay? That is how you use technology and time planning to your advantage. Eating meals seems to be a mom responsibility. Cooking meals. Did I say eating meals? Preparing meals. And we care about that. We want our kids to eat really good meals. We don't want to be wasting money outside. I hate ordering in. I find it a waste of money. I don't throw away my veggies and my stuff. It's kind of like a rule that I have that's not okay. It's a lot of wasted money. Resource planning. So, hey, when we go to the store, I buy supplies for a very specific menu. Cook them, have them in freezer bags in the freezer. Take it out when it's time. Pop it in the oven. I used to like to use oven mostly, but a slow cooker works just fine. And you got a meal in 20 minutes or less, because depending on how you prepare it and what you do. I used to like throwing it in the oven. I had a lot more time than most people because my work was at home, so I'm not driving a lot. And so all these different things I learned, I applied them mostly to save time, to be more relaxed, because I do not like to be stressed out about deadlines and about unexpected changes and mom guilt. Lots of mom guilt. I wanted to be present for my kids, and I wanted to be there with them, and I wanted to not disappear in my office or on my computer or on my phone. And we had a lot of talks about that. My kids were very honest. Mommy, you're always on the phone. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. Like right now, everyone's in bed and I'm here. It's sun's not down yet and everyone's upstairs. Like, I'm taking an hour for myself. This also needs to be included in your schedule as an entrepreneur. Time for yourself. You either read, plan creative ideas out, or take care of you. Like, I don't do makeup, but maybe a facial, combing my hair, like literally combing my hair with this long freaking hair that's like takes time and effort. So I'm like, it's the first thing I do in the morning now, because it had gotten to this place where it's hard to keep up with my hair, and I get dreads real fast, like 2 days of not combing, and it's like, crap, I can't. Anyway, so getting help is like really important. It is. I had the most freed up time when I had a nanny. I don't have a nanny anymore. With all this social distancing stuff, my new nanny can't come anymore. I found someone to help out, but this time was because I have some health things to take care of with my wrist and all that stuff. She was coming here so I could go do them. But I mean, eventually when all these things go down, out, probably going to work towards having someone that can watch the kids and be there. Just not to do anything, because my kids make their own food. They clean up after themselves. The big ones help with the little one. They're their own business, so to speak. But that's what I trained them for. And that's important. Training your kids is like a very important part of your entrepreneurship, because they are the glue that keeps you together. Because if your kids are not happy and they're miserable and they feel neglected, you are going to start feeling horrible about your business. And when you feel horrible about your business, you're going to attract problems. I know, because that happened to me. I was miserable because I felt guilty, in addition to a lot of other different things. And because I felt guilty, I started to retreat and hide and not be present in business stuff, because I felt guilty that I wasn't present with my kids. And, you know, at a certain point, it becomes very real that your kids could grow up thinking, mommy was never there. And that's not what you want. So what you do is you put in the effort to really train yourself and them. And it's a learning process. You learn to be good at meal planning. You learn to be okay with teaching your kids to be independent, because that was hard. I'm a cuddly, hand-holding, codependent kind of mom. I want to be there with everything, you know. I'll stay up with them and be in the room with them, sleep with them. I mean, my kids were in my bed. I was a co-sleeper. But what happened is that I noticed that I wasn't resting, I wasn't having the energy, and that this doesn't work. At the end, you're not supposed to empty yourself for your kids. You're supposed to train them and guide them to be the best they can be. And one of those things that helps more than anything else is that you are the best that you can be, and that you are operating from a place of self-confidence, from a place of strength. And one of those things that are very important is that your kids know that you expect them to be confident and self-sufficient too. Like my son, sometimes he'll make a sandwich, he'll make for his sisters, he'll make for his brother. He'll come up and say, Mommy, do you want a coffee? I feel really proud in those moments, because I go, he learned that if he's there able to do something, taking care of other people is important, helping out. And, you know, een steentje bijdragen is what you say in Dutch, being part of the process. Now, my son is really, really good at cooperating and taking initiative. He's really great at that. So I'm always proud of him. He's always been that way since he's small. But I didn't let that go. I made sure that I made it part of his training, and it helped us because he's so independent. I have time that I'm freed up, and I make sure he knows, you're helping mommy, you're helping me get things done. What can we do to reward you? It's also important, because if you're running a business and you're making money and you're relying on your kids to help out, to do their best, to play on their own and be independent, there's got to be a give and take, okay? Your kids got to know that they're in a win-win relationship, that they're learning something, but they're also receiving something. That was something that it took me a while to learn, because in the beginning I was like, I take care of you, I cook for you, I do this, I work for you. My kids want attention, they want time, so how do we reward them? We make sure that we are present in the time that we are, but we keep ourselves to our agreements too. Like my son, I'm like, your chore is your daily agreement. That's the only thing you need to do. You need to follow through. We're gonna follow through. This time and that time, mom is not available. You need to put, in your schedule, you need to know that at 3 o'clock is when you come. Tick, 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 tick. That's important, because they will also be better team players when they grow up, better at handling their time, better at working with other people. So it's very important. I say this because I used to be super codependent, and if my kids cried and they needed something, I drop everything and then I go. And then I'm guilty because I can't pay attention. Because I can't pay attention if I'm worried about a deadline. And then my customer's pissed because I'm late. I haven't really been late, but you know what I mean. There's something about answering within 24 hours that feels really good compared to answering within 48. there's just a big thing there. At least me, that's always been my thing. People are like, I messaged you and I got an answer. I don't do that because I want to be hands the forsta. I do that because often I happen to be on my phone really early to check my emails, to handle those things that are like urgent fires. I deal with technology. I deal with people's websites. I deal with their content. I deal with their servers. Their websites are down. Someone's got to fix it. And I talk to my kids about it. So anyways, I hope in this whole video there was something practical that you can use. And that was my video for today. I hope it inspires you and it helps you come up with ideas now that you're working from home. What are things you can do even though you have small kids that rely on you? Mine is 2.5, my youngest. I don't have time in the morning at all. So right now, she hangs out with her older siblings. But when they were not home, that was a whole other ballpark. It really is with younger kids. And with younger kids, you need to have patience with yourself. Then you need to sleep early and work when they nap. And then you need to make sure you train your kid to take a nap the same hour every day. And if they don't nap, give them something to do. Now, I'm not huge on tablets. I'm not. But I recently purchased one because we have COVID and I have no nanny. There's no one coming over right now. So, what do? She has her time that she can play with it. It's just the way it is right now. Be okay with your decisions. Stand your ground. It's okay if you use a tool for now. If you're not comfortable with the tool, get a different one. But if it really works, and if it really works and you really need it, embrace it. That's my advice on that. Just embrace it. I have a friend who gets a lot of stuff done and her daughter watches mostly Disney. Her daughter's perfectly happy, really good in school. I can't say, oh, look at her, she broke her daughter. Not at all. Great entrepreneurial woman, very awesome daughter. And yeah, you need to do what works for your family. Okay? Have a great day. Bye.